Stephanie is our president-elect. We're thrilled to have you, Stephanie, doing this today, and to be as our president-elect, serving as in that role. Stephanie's an accomplished New Hope area realtor who brings a dedicated and personable approach to the home buying and selling process. She has 35 years of experience, and she has built her reputation. She has built a reputation for her refreshingly thoughtful and friendly customer service and proven ability to guide buyers to obtain the best value for their dream home and to assist sellers to a smooth, stress-free sale of their home. She's a member in good standing of BCAR, PAR, NAR, and Bright MLS. She's earned many designations and credentials, including a PhD, an accredited buyer's representative, ABR, a seller's representative specialist, SRS, ePro specialist, real estate negotiation specialist, RENE. And in 2018, she successfully completed Bucks County Association of Realtors Leadership Academy. She also serves on BCAR's Professional Standards Committee, which oversees the Code of Ethics. And she's the recipient of Philadelphia Magazine's 5-Star Realtor Award 8 years in a row and a member of the International Society of Female Professionals. Stephanie, I could go on, but I'm going to stop. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Beata.
Okay.
And thank you. We're looking forward to hearing about your business.
Yeah, thank you, Lisa, for that introduction. Green Terra Disposal is a local dumpster rental company, and my office is in Doylestown, and I have 2 yards. One is in Chalfont and one is in Sellersville. We have a couple different sizes of dumpsters and really can accommodate any project you or your clients might have. You, especially in your line of work, dealing with people who are moving, who are selling their house, and who are downsizing. So renting a dumpster is really the best way to quickly get rid of the stuff they don't want to take to their new house. Or the stuff which accumulated over the years. If your client will need to clean out the shed, storage areas, basement, or all the stuff from the attic, that would be a great referral for us. We also can provide dumpster for yard waste cleanup and to make sure that the house has a nice curb appeal. If you are dealing with foreclosures or hoarder's house, not only we can provide you a dumpster, but I can bid the whole house for the house clean out, including labor, to make sure that the house is ready for sale. Green Terra Disposal is environmentally friendly. None of our dumpsters is going to the landfill. Instead, we take them to recycling centers where stuff is further sorted and recycled. Our tagline is dumpster rental made easy, and we truly do everything we can to provide and deliver on that promise. We provide exceptional customer service, and I encourage you to check us out on Google, read a couple reviews. Before you refer us, I just want you to feel comfortable to referring us because it reflects on you as well. I look forward to meeting and connecting with you on some future networking events. I put my information in a chat. If you want to connect with me, if you have any questions, or just reach out to me on LinkedIn, I would love to connect with you. Thank you so much for your time. Beata Daly, Green Terra Disposal, dumpster rental made easy.
Thank you.
Thank you so much,
That's
Beata.
great.
And Scott, thank you. Scott, one of our attendees, past president, put your website as well on in the chat. And feel free to stay on as well, Beata, today if you'd like. And Stephanie, I'm going to turn it over to you.
Okay, well, thank you. Thank you for everyone for attending this. I think it's an important topic, especially coming during the last few years with COVID, and we're still kind of in it in many ways. A lot of people working from home and isolated and just feeling not themselves. So let's understand what wellness is. Wellness is a concept that is becoming increasingly important in the psychological literature. It is a state of physical and mental health that allows individuals to be productive, creative, and content. So today we're going to apply the principles of wellness so individuals can take an active role in their lives and make positive changes that can lead to greater happiness and overall well-being. Psychologists have long recognized the importance of wellness in promoting healthy behavior, improving mental health, and increasing life satisfactions. Today, we will discuss the concept of wellness, the benefits of wellness, and suggest ways to increase it. We will also look at the differences between stressors and triggers, and some good coping strategies, and finally, how to handle mental health clients. And that's also an important aspect of this discussion today. Let me just move my slides. So, wellness includes activities such as physical exercise, healthy eating, adequate sleep, stress management, and other lifestyle modifications to enhance overall health. You have to have all of this to become a healthy human being. Taking part in regular physical activity, eating nutritious foods, getting adequate rest, and managing stress are all important components of wellness. Oh, I hit something. Let me just see what I just hit. Hold on one second. Don't want that. Okay. Additionally, being mindful of your emotions, your thoughts, and your behaviors, and engaging in meaningful activities that you enjoy and making time for relaxation are important aspects of wellness. The concept of wellness is becoming increasingly popular as more and more people are looking for ways to improve their overall health and well-being. As stress becomes more of a part of your life, the more people are looking for ways to alleviate that stress. So wellness is a comprehensive approach to health and well-being that encompasses physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual components. It's a way of looking at life that encourages an individual to take an active role in improving their own well-being as well as that of their community. Wellness is about taking a holistic approach to health and well-being. This means that all aspects of a person's life should be taken into consideration, such as physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual health. I keep repeating that because these are the things that you really need to focus on to be completely healthy and to deal with the stress that arises throughout your life. Let me switch screens. Okay, so it also involves taking into account lifestyle choices, such as your diet, of course, exercise, and stress management. Additionally, it encourages individuals to focus on creating positive relationships, setting goals, and developing the healthy habits. Physical wellness is the foundation of overall well-being. It involves getting the right amount of exercise, as we said, eating a balanced diet, and practicing good hygiene. This can help to reduce the risk of developing chronic diseases such as diabetes and heart disease. Additionally, getting regular physical activity and taking part in activities such as yoga, running, walking, tai chi, kickboxing, tennis, whatever you want to do, can help to reduce stress levels and improve physical and mental health. Mental well-being is an important part of wellness. So I keep saying that, but that is so, it's part of your overall health. So you are, if you're on the right track, if you are comfortable with who you are, please ask questions as I go along. Anybody has a question. You are adaptable and resilient. You have positive relationships with the people in your life. You have a sense of purpose. You take care of your physical health. You are comfortable saying no, and you make time to relax. So, we often, and people always hear about, somebody is causing you continued stress and they're in your life and they had been an important person in your life, but for whatever reason, you're feeling stressed. You have to limit the relationship. It's not going to serve you any good to ruin your life over and your wellness over that kind of a stress. So, so all of these things add up to being a well person. So here are 8 things that you can do to boost your mental health. You start your day on a positive note, whatever makes you happy in the beginning of your day. I mean, most people have routines. Some routines are probably not healthy for you, but look at how you start your day, because if you start it on a positive note, you're going to do much better throughout the day. Also, stay present. I mean, people worry about something that they don't want to do, or something that's coming up next week or the end of the month or tomorrow, and they agonize over it for all that time until that day comes. Don't do it. Stay present, enjoy today. That stress is going to be there, it's going to happen, you're going to deal with it, but don't ruin every day because of it. Always make time for exercise, eat healthy, socialize. That is one of the things that people are back into doing it, but there are still, we can't forget the people that for health reasons that they have to still isolate because of COVID. Reach out to people that by phone, by FaceTime, to help people that are not getting out there, because socialization is so important to our mental health. Set goals for yourself, take sleep seriously, and then don't be ashamed to ask for help. There are so many people out there that just lock themselves away and they don't know how to reach out and ask for help. And there are a lot of people who are willing to help.
Stephanie, can I ask a quick question?
Yes. Yes.
In terms of staying present, it's something that we've all heard, but are there any specific tips, like, like for instance, allowing yourself to just spend 10 minutes a day worrying? Like, are there any, like, I know nothing's quick in this business, but is there anything like
Right.
specific that you can suggest?
Yeah. So, all these other things, like go out and take a walk, clear your head. There are all these different things. If you have a hobby, focus on the hobby. Don't focus on whatever is stressing you. There are so many things to you say to yourself, today is going to be a good day. I am not going to think about it. I'm going to do this and this and that. And recognize little things, like if you go to the grocery store and somebody smiles at you, take that as part of your good day. So stay present in the day. There's always going to be something that is ahead. Like maybe you're going to be showing houses to a very difficult client, or you have to make a phone call to a very difficult client. Don't let that worry you from the night before. Don't let that, it's going to come, that phone call is going to come. You know what you're going to say, you're going to take these people out, but don't ruin the current day. So I think that a lot of people, they do ruin lots of days, because there's a lot of people who find themselves very depressed, and it's because it compounds day after day after day. So I don't know, did that answer your question? Is that?
It did, thank you. Some of the tips, like, and again, I know there's no quick tips for any of this, but
Yeah.
these were quick, actually, these were good, quick tips,
Good,
go out,
good.
do something
Yeah, go
different.
out, do something, take a deep breath, read a book, or anything that's going to bring you some happiness, some joy for the day. So,
Thank you. And as Scott said, Scott, I'm reading Scott's email, Scott's chat. What if you're only
yeah.
one of the 7 before asking for a friend? So,
Okay. Yeah, I am not seeing the chats. So can
okay,
you bring them up?
I can't share. So at the bottom of your screen,
Yeah, I'm not.
it's good. It might be
Oh,
hard.
wait, here. Okay, here, I see chat.
Okay.
Just call out everyone. It's easier for me because I don't want to mess up my screen. So just call out if you have a question or a comment. All right, so where are we? Okay. Slide 7, let me go to the next slide. All right, so we're going to, oh, wait a minute. I want to go back just 1 second. I want to go. All right. So social connections. The definition of a support system is that you have a network of people that can provide you with practical or emotional support. These support systems will help you improve your overall health and have been shown to reduce stress and anxiety. Having a strong support system gives you a group of people that you can go to for assistance with your issues. There are 3 core groups that make up strong support systems. Of course, family, friends, and professional colleagues. And that can include mentors, sponsors, your minister, priest. Those can be your support system. In the last few years of social distancing, many of us are still feeling profoundly isolated. We aren't seeing each other at work. At the grocery stores, we don't get to see a person smile if they're wearing a mask. Especially during times of crisis and vulnerability, we need social connections to help carry us through it. The types of social support in our lives can change from day to day and can come from a variety of sources. Identifying the different types of support can broaden how we think about our socialization and may help us to realize we have more opportunities for connectedness than we thought. So there are different kinds of support. There's emotional support, informational support, tangible support, self-esteem or affirmational support, and belonging support. So we're going to go over those. Emotional support, this is the type of support that pops into your head when we usually think of social support. Someone that will accept and understand us, calm our fears, and reliably be there. This support could come from a close friend, a spouse. Let me tell you about the day I just had. But also be someone that offers brief encouragement or empathy, like when you share a sympathetic look with someone at the grocery store who is also frustrated to find their favorite item isn't stocked. I mean, that's kind of a thing that's going on now. There's a lot of things that stores don't have. We are typically accustomed to this type of support, but when physical comfort is not available, appreciating that emotional connection at that moment we have daily can improve our wellness. So that's kind of answering, Lisa, your question is those little things. If you recognize them as something positive, it will improve your wellness. Informational support, when you receive an update from the news, follow an online exercise video, or read an article on emotional support, you're getting informational support. This is a great example of not needing to have an emotional connection to someone to be supported. You're getting it from reading something or seeing something on TV or something in a book. So it's when you receive supportive, positive information that can foster intellectual or mindful growth. Tangible support, think of this as the proverbial, can I borrow a cup of sugar? This is a tangible service, or maybe a favor. Someone is providing you. Perhaps you're getting a ride from an Uber driver, the person who walks your dog, or someone is holding open a door for you. This type of support is practical. However, recognizing when you are given practical support can encourage a sense of, I am not alone. I can ask for help when I need it. And that is understanding that it's always about the little things in your life. You've got to recognize the little things. Self-esteem or affirmational support, this occurs when we are engaged in something where we feel respected. Maybe this is a role at work you have, volunteering, or you get it from responsibilities in your family. Essential and frontline workers were and continue to receive this type of praise from the community. Realtors receive it from happy clients. Highlighting when you receive this type of support and recognizing your accomplishments as well as complimenting others is crucial to keep up our motivation. So does anybody have any questions so far on any of these? We're all okay? Then there's belonging support. You may have experienced belonging support from the current community notion that we're all in this together. As people socially distance, though it's difficult, we are doing it out of a sense of connection and responsibility for our community's welfare. You may also feel this support from the smaller communities that you're a part of, such as BCAR, an organization or a place of worship. Even when you can't be there in person, you know connecting to this group and its members give you a sense of belonging, of place. Breaking down these types of social supports helps us take an adaptive perspective on the social support we have that we may not have previously recognized. Exercising this breakdown can also help to highlight what types of support we would like to develop or strengthen. So, you know, not everything is going to come to you all at once, but you may want to work on one area of your life and the support that you're getting to improve things. People often make changes to their support network when they experience important life changes. Keep in mind, the connections you have today may not look the same as they were a year ago, and they may look different in the future as well. So you can reflect on this exercise periodically. You may also notice that different people or sources can give different types of support at different times. For example, your partner teaches you how to cook something, but they also listen to you when you're upset. There are many ways to get support, and your network may be broader than you realized. Mindfully recognizing the support you have will not only be beneficial to you, but you also may find that it helps you to offer support to someone else. It's likely that the lack of social support and feelings of loneliness make people more vulnerable to mental health or substance use problems like depression. If you have questions, at the end of this, I have all different support phone numbers and just different places that you can contact if you know somebody or if you need to talk to someone. So at the end of this, I have that slide. So how do we deal with clients with mental illness? And you may not know that they have mental illness. You may just see them as being as difficult or whatever, but what you want to do is you want to be confident and reassuring. You want to listen carefully and work with the person to meet their needs. Do not be confrontational. Be aware of your body language and maintain eye contact, as some symptoms of mood disorder are not apparent. You know, people can be on medications, they could be hearing voices, they could be having a very bad day, maybe the balance of their medications aren't correct, or feeling stressed if they're going out looking at houses. It might be something that is really stressing them. If they're new to the area, know that they're new to the area, offer them information on local clubs, organizations to get involved in, offer them ways to become socially involved, ease their mind about a big change in their lives. So one of the things that is very important for us to discuss here are the differences between triggers and stressors. So in order to handle mental health clients, you know, if you have a client that has some issues, you need to understand that there are triggers. It's not only stress, there are triggers, and you want to know the difference between them. A trigger is a stimulus that elicits a reaction. In the context of mental illness, trigger is often used to mean something that brings on or worsens symptoms. This often happens to people with a history of trauma or who are recovering from mental illness, self-harm, addiction, and/or eating disorders. When someone has a history of any of these issues, being unexpectedly exposed to imagery or content that deals with that history can cause harm or relapse. Many different stimuli can be possible triggers, and they are often strongly influenced by past experiences. Understanding, identifying, and working to prevent triggers can be empowering and effective, especially in comparison to supporting someone after they have been triggered. Triggers vary widely from person to person. Many different stimuli can be possible triggers, and they are often strongly influenced by past experiences. So there are different categories of triggers. External triggers, you want to think senses, sounds, sights, smells, textures. And they elicit responses based on past experiences. Smelling a cologne from a loved one, from someone that reminds you of a loved one who passed away. That could trigger, that could be an external trigger. Internal triggers, strong feelings that arise based on past experiences. Example, making a doctor's appointment after a negative medical experience can trigger fear. The next one, trauma triggers.
I was going to
Yes.
say, we have a question, Stephanie.
Yes.
Is
Yes.
that okay? Okay.
Yeah.
It's from Scott. How do you determine the type of mental health providers you need? Then how do you find a great match and highly qualified psychiatrist, psychologist, therapist? And what should you look for in experience, education, and approach for each?
Well, there are, depending on, like, if you have fears, cognitive therapy is a really good type of therapist that you want to go for. Therapists, I always say to people, you can change therapists numerous times until you find the one that you're going to click with. It's not, yes, you're paying for paying someone and you're not getting anything out of it, but do not stick with them, because right off the bat if you're connecting with them. So you want to just keep on changing. As far as, it depends on what you are needing, but there's family therapists, there's marital therapists, there's cognitive therapists, there's all different types of therapists. I mean, I got my PhD here in Pennsylvania. Therapists don't need their PhD, they can have a master's. So, it depends on how much you want them. I studied clinical psychology, so I was dealing with a lot of people with mental health issues, severe mental health issues. So I mean, you really need, I can send you more in-depth information on different types of therapy and therapists. But it really is looking for someone that you're going to click with. All too often, I hear from people that have been with a therapist for years, and it's almost become that they just go and they just have a conversation, but the person's problems haven't changed for years. They haven't done anything good for them. And they should have changed therapists ages before. So you've really got to try people out. And even if you got a recommendation from somebody that it may not work for you. That person, it's a very personal relationship. So, I hope that answers your question. So trauma triggers they arise from past trauma, like the sound of firecrackers. That can be a trauma trigger for veterans of war. Symptom triggers are physical change can trigger larger mental health issues. So if you have been diagnosed with bipolar disorder, lack of sleep can trigger a reaction. It triggers symptoms. There's a lot of physical changes that can cause triggers. So basically, triggers, and we'll get into stresses, but you have to keep in mind triggers are basically something that has come from the past, and that is a trigger. And you can, I mean, I know in the past I've had clients that I've taken, I remember specifically a woman who there was something in particular houses that we went into that made her get very upset, start shaking, had to run out of the house. And so I knew right away that she was being triggered by something. She never shared what it was, but so you have to be aware of these things when you're working with clients, that they're not difficult. They have a true problem. They have a true issue that stems from the past. So ways that we can help someone who gets triggered: you can ask, be curious, learn to engage in difficult situations with a focus on maintaining a positive relationship, learn what is triggering for those around you, and try to avoid causing pain. Remember to respect an individual's right not to share, or wait until they are ready to share. Be empathetic and listen without judgment. Be a safe place for those around you. Avoid taking another's behavior personally, nor making negative judgments about someone's feelings or behaviors. Maintain good boundaries. Boundaries help everyone be clear on expectations, which adds security and predictability for people. Help with coping. Ask about strategies that work for the person to relax and take care of themselves. Encourage more time spent on self-care activities. And use trigger warnings. Providing a warning before potentially triggering content provides time for people to prepare or, if needed, to opt out of challenging or emotional materials. You know, that basically, say you're in a classroom setting and there is a person that really has, like, it's a terrible trigger to be called on because they had a terrible experience once in their lives. They prefer to sit in the corner, observe, listen, but never, don't make eye contact with them because it triggers a bad experience. So you know, teachers today, they are helping with students that do have different recognized issues, and they do not call on these particular students in front of other kids, or this in college and all of that. So it's something that you are aware of what the trigger is for another person, and you eliminate it so it doesn't challenge them. So coping with coping strategies for those who get triggered. There are many possible coping strategies you can try, but all should focus on reducing the impact of the trigger and the strength of emotional reactions. Trial and error can help each person determine what works best for them. Remember that different coping strategies may work for different triggers and emotions. Learn to identify, consider reactions to past triggers. Who or what was involved, where, when, and why it took place. Observe patterns and obvious signs of risk to prevent a similar situation. These are all things that you can do if you have something that triggers you. A lot of it has to fall on you to start, when these triggers happen, recognize and figure out a way that is not going to affect you the next time as badly as it had. So you make a plan to address triggers and emotional reactions. You may want to talk to loved ones or your treatment team to let them know how they can help you when you are triggered. Be sure to carefully address triggers that occur repeatedly, because each time they do, the emotional reaction may be greater. Try problem-focused coping. When confront your trigger directly, or try to find a solution to the trigger. For example, commuting past a hospital may cause you to remember traumas from the hospital. So find a different way to go, different route. Try emotion-focused coping. When you cannot eliminate or avoid a trigger, focus on regulating your reaction to it, which may help reduce its impact. For example, meditation can help reduce stress, anxiety, and depression. Communicate if someone is triggering you. A person triggering another person is often unintentional. Talk to them about the impact of their actions to clear up any misunderstandings, and consider possible solutions. Have an open, calm, and understanding dialogue. Be willing to work with them. If the person who is triggering you refuses to act sensitively, it may be best to set clear boundaries. Find the right therapy. So here also falls into the question, specific types of therapy have been shown effective in addressing triggers. Exposure therapy is one type of therapy where a therapist guides you through the process of confronting whatever causes your anxiety in a safe environment. So that's called exposure therapy. And EMDR therapy it's been in recent years, eye movement desensitization and reprocessing. So that is another type of, so if you are really seriously dealing with serious triggers, you may want to try EMDR therapy. Reality check your thoughts. To minimize the escalation of thoughts and feelings, it may be helpful to reality check thoughts to assess their reasonableness. Practice self-care. Prioritizing your mental health can help build resilience against potential triggers. You can start by talking to someone, such as a loved one, a friend, a therapist. You may also want to practice mindfulness, meditation, deep breathing, and journaling. Journaling is very successful for many people. It brings things to the forefront, and in writing it down helps you see things clearer. While it can be difficult to control triggers, those who experience them can learn from past experiences, apply what they learn, and limit the risk of being re-triggered. Avoid only focusing on what happens after a trigger. Also, focus on what can be done beforehand. Each time a person is triggered is a learning opportunity that can help manage reactions in the future. So if a person can't control the trigger fully, they may be able to limit the emotional reaction to it before it becomes problematic and harder to address. They might even be able to prevent the trigger by preparing for it. There is always something you can control. Anything that offers a little control over mental illness can help keep us well. And that is just so important to remember. You can go to therapists, you can have intensive therapy, but a lot of the work has to come from the individual. And they have to recognize that they have to put in the effort to get better. So now, stress. We talked about triggers, now stress. It's an inevitable part of life, and it's not always bad. Stress is your body's natural response to challenging or difficult experiences. It can be triggered by positive things, such as a tricky puzzle, or negative things, such as financial difficulty. When you're stressed, your body goes into fight or flight mode. And a fight or flight mode is a state where your body and mind are completely alert. Not one over the other, but both at the same time are completely alert. When managed in a healthy way, stress can help you perform better. A life stressor is any event or experience that causes stress. Some stressors can be small and relatively easy to manage, like a busy day at work or a small disagreement with a loved one. Other stressors can be hard to manage, like bereavement, divorce, or becoming severely ill. Although everybody experiences stress differently, experts have identified the top life stressors. These common stressors are most likely to contribute to anxiety. It's difficult to quantify stress, especially because we all experience stress differently. So some stressors, common ones, are the death of a spouse, divorce, marital separation, being incarcerated. You don't always think of that, but being incarcerated creates loneliness, isolation, lack of productive activities, lack of access to medical treatment, violence and abuse, human rights violations, lack of access to adequate nutrition, and many former incarcerated people experience post-traumatic stress disorder because of it. Death of a close family member, major personal injury or illness, marriage is stressful. We've all heard of bridezillas. They go through extreme stress. They put up everything on themselves to have a perfect wedding, and in the meantime, they're super stressed. Being fired or laid off from work, this could cause financial anxiety, and for many people, a loss of identity. Many people identify with their jobs and experience shame and depression when they lose that occupation. Marital reconciliation is also a stressor, because you're worrying about, is it going to work in the long run? We're reconciling, but there might be trust issues. So that causes stress. Retirement, experience social isolation and a loss of purpose. It's called retirement depression. It's not uncommon, but it can be overcome. So the difference between triggers and stressors, we understand triggers are anything that might cause a person to recall a traumatic experience they've had. And stressors are everyday situations that are of different degrees. And if they're not taken care of, if you don't address them, they can lead to further problems, but they are not a trigger that is of a past experience. So, and you have to remember that stress is not a mental health condition. It tends to have an obvious trigger like a move, divorce, or illness, but stress typically resolves as life events change. Stress can lead to mental health problems like anxiety and depression if it persists over long periods without relief. Whoops, okay, there we go. So you want to practice empathetic communication. You don't want to say to someone any of these things. It's all in your head. Come on, things could be worse. Snap out of it. But you have a great life. You always seem so happy. Have you tried chamomile tea? Everyone is a little down, moody, OCD sometimes. It's normal. And this too shall pass. You also don't want to say, use the term mentally disabled, mentally handicapped, and even mentally ill, because not everyone has been diagnosed with a full-fledged mental illness. So you don't want to group people into those labels. You can say someone has a mental health condition, but they're not mentally ill or handicapped or disabled. And so now, any questions so far? Anybody have any questions? I see in the chat, are there any questions here?
I don't see any questions. Scott had to jump off. He had
Okay.
asked, I think the one thing was, there any shortcuts or tips to avoid the hit or miss approach with selecting a therapist?
Yeah, and there really isn't. I mean, it's, you can get recommendations, but it's a very personal relationship you develop with the therapist. And sometimes they work and sometimes they don't. So it is a hit and miss. There's nothing that, so you know, I can't really answer that completely. So let me just move on here. Okay, and so this is a word, and we're coming to the end now. So this LEAP, LEAP, remember it, because it's a method that was developed for mental illness. It's listen, empathize, agree, and partner. It shows, it was developed to teach families, health professionals, and first responders how to better help people with mental illness. So keep that terminology. I mean, it's a great way to be all across the board with everybody, to, you know, listen more than you talk, empathize with the person that you're listening to, you know, depending on the person, agree with them, don't make them feel foolish, and help them, be there for them. And it's just a good way to live your life, and it ends up making you feel better in the long run too. So I don't know if that's been an hour, but here are, and this will be in what you send out. These are, remember the number 988. That is the suicide crisis lifeline number, 988. And then I have different numbers here for, you know, the local helplines. So does anybody have any questions? No, we are just about an hour.
Yeah, we are. And we will, as you mentioned, Stephanie, your PowerPoint, your presentation will be sent to everyone. It has
Right.
fantastic slides. No, people are just saying thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh, that's great. That's good. I'm happy to help. You can, people can call me. You know, it's an important topic. It's especially now, you know, with COVID. I mean, I just heard of a friend that has it really bad last night. I just heard. So it's still happening. It's in the schools. It's affected people's lives tremendously, and some harder than others. And then we can't forget all the families that lost people to COVID. So it's something that we just have to be mindful of and try to help yourselves stay healthy. So, you know, I hope I helped some.
Yeah, no, this was fantastic. Of course you did. And thanks so much for these great tips, and for the information that we'll be sending out to everyone. So
Great.
everyone have a fantastic weekend. Thank you again,
Yes.
Stephanie.
Yes.
Go Eagles if you're an Eagles fan. So
I don't know anything about football.
I watch it when they're in the playoffs. That's about it.
Yeah.
But yeah, thanks to everyone, and thanks for taking the time. We have just take a look on our website. We've got a couple more in February. We've got 2 or 3 in March. We've got fair housing in April. We've got so many coming up.
Right.
And this is just all fantastic free information for our members. So
Yes.
contact us if you have any questions. And Stephanie said you could contact her if you have any questions relating to this.
Yes, you can write down my cell, 215-595-7402. So feel free to call me if you have questions that I couldn't answer here. More than welcome to call me.
Thank you, everyone, and we'll see you next time.